Australian Open 2026. World number 1 Sabalenka beats 18-year-old American Jovic to reach semifinals in the final game. Sabalenka served an ace on break point and clinched it with another ace on match point. She saved all 5 break points she faced and had 7 aces. Aryna Sabalenka advanced to the semis of the Australian Open 2026. The number 1 seed defeated 18-year-old Jovic in straight sets. Sabalenka to play the winner of Coco Gauff vs. Alina Svitolina. Top-seeded Aryna Sabalenka beat 18-year-old American Iva Jovic 6-3, 6-0 on Tuesday to reach the semi-finals at the Australian Open. Sabalenka, who is trying to win her 3rd Australian title in 4 years, went up 3-0 in the first set and established her dominance early against the 29th-seeded Jovic. But Jovic stayed in the set and had 3 breakpoint chances in the 9th game, which lasted 10 minutes. Sabalenka raced to a 5-0 lead in the second set with 2 breaks, taking any momentum away from the young American. Jovic didn't help herself near the end of the match, double faulting on break point to give Sabalenka her 5-0 lead. Also read match highlights. In the final game, Sabalenka served an ace on break point and clinched it with another ace on match point. She saved all 5 break points she faced and had 7 aces. Sabalenka won in 2023 and 2024 and was the runner-up a year ago to Madison Keys. Keys was knocked out of the tournament on Monday by fellow American Jessica Pegula. The match at Rod Laver began with the roof open as heat warnings hit Melbourne with temperatures expected to be above 40 Celsius, 104 Fahrenheit. Jovic was born in California and is the daughter of parents who immigrated to the United States. Her father is Serbian and her mother Croatian, and Jovic has been getting tips from Serbian star Novak Djokovic. In a later quarterfinal match later at Rod Laver Arena, 3rd-seeded Alexander Zverev faced American Lerner Tien. In an evening quarterfinal at Rod Laver Arena, top-seeded Carlos Alcaraz faced Alex de Minaur. Alcaraz has won 6 Grand Slam titles but has never won the Australian Open and has lost in the quarterfinals here the last 2 years. Also, 3rd-seeded Coco Gauff played Alina Svitolina. Sabalenka will play the winner of that match in the semis. Glowing Star Australian Open 2026, a clash of power, youth and promise. By the scorching lights of Rod Laver Arena, where golden Melbourne evenings shimmer into the night and legends are carved in sweat and steel, the Australian Open 2026 delivered yet another unforgettable chapter. On a day when heat waves danced above the Plexicushion courts and fans clung to shade and hydration, tennis's world number 1, Aryna Sabalenka, delivered a masterclass of dominance and poise, defeating the electrifying 18-year-old American Iva Jovic to book her place in the women's singles semifinals. Fire-searing heat and rising stakes. Tournament organizers had activated their extreme heat policy as temperatures soared toward a blistering 40 degrees Celsius at Melbourne Park. With the heat stress scale nudging its highest limits, spectators fanned themselves as if waiting for summer's fiercest storm. Yet on court, even while the ambient mercury threatened to overwhelm, Sabalenka's focus was impermeable. This was more than a quarterfinal, it was a rite of passage. The sun's glare and relentless conditions mirrored the pressure on Sabalenka to extend her dominance at the season's first Grand Slam. Already a 2-time Australian Open champion, 2023, 2024, and runner-up last year, she embodied power, precision, and ambition. Tennis the match, power versus potential. When the match began, the scoreboard suggested a relatively routine afternoon for Sabalenka, but the story on the court told much more. Sabalenka opened with an early surge, racing to a 3-0 lead in the first set. Her serve, fast, firm, and unfaltering, set the tone, ripping through games with authority. Yet 18-year-old Jovic, unshaken by the experience gap, traded blows with increasing confidence. In the 9th game, she earned 3 breakpoint chances, pushing Sabalenka in a grueling mini-battle that stretched close to 10 minutes. But like a seasoned general in the heat of battle, Sabalenka responded with unwavering execution. She saved all 5 breakpoints she faced and systematically dismantled Jovic's resistance with a blend of crushing ground strokes and impeccable court positioning. The scoreline eventually read 6-3, 6-0, But to deem the encounter a blowout would be to overlook the courage and craft Jovic displayed. Brain Sabalenka's mental edge. Sabalenka's performance wasn't just a display of physical dominance, it was mental poetry. With 7 aces and a reputation for winning her high-pressure moments, she demonstrated why she remains atop the WTA rankings and a perennial Grand Slam threat. In her post-match reflections, Sabalenka was characteristically humble about the challenge. "These teenagers are testing me in the last couple of rounds," she admitted, praising Jovic's level while acknowledging the intensity of the contest. "Incredible player, it wasn't easy at all. She pushed me to a one-step better level." It's a rare quality among elite athletes, to recognize challenge not as threat but as catalyst, and it's perhaps part of what has kept Sabalenka so consistently deep in majors. Reaching her 14th Grand Slam semifinal and 4th in a row at the Australian Open isn't happenstance. It's the product of relentless drive and a fearless belief that every opponent, no matter how young or hungry, demands respect. Seedling Jovic, a rising star finds her moment. If Sabalenka is the seasoned general, Iva Jovic is the rising prodigy, raw talent, fearlessness in her strikes, eyes wide with ambition. Born in California to parents of Serbian and Croatian heritage, the 18-year-old earned her place in the quarterfinals by dismantling seasoned opposition and refusing to bow to pressure. Her run has captured the imagination of fans. She rolled into the last 8 without dropping a set, drawing plaudits not just for results, but for her composure. At a tournament where experience typically dictates outcomes, Jovic's fearless baseline antics and strategic flair made her one of the most talked-about performers. While her match with Sabalenka ended in defeat, it was a learning moment, lightning forged within flame. For a young athlete, there's no greater teacher than facing the very best, and Jovic took those lessons with dignity. Expect her presence on the WTA Tour to grow, her ranking to climb, and her confidence to bloom into a force that will challenge the sport's elite for years to come. Trophy the road ahead, semis and beyond. With the victory, Sabalenka advances to the Australian Open semifinals, where a fresh challenge awaits, likely against Coco Gauff or Alina Svitolina, both formidable opponents with their own narratives of grit and resilience. Gauff, a majors contender in her own right, presents speed, tactical intelligence, and an aggressive baseline game that could test Sabalenka in ways Jovic did not. Svitolina, a veteran with a strategic, all-court game, offers another contrasting style, making the projected semifinal one of the most anticipated clashes of the tournament's latter stages. For Sabalenka, each match tightens her quest for a 3rd Australian Open title in 4 years. Her hunger, evident in every serve, return, and sprint to the net, suggests her journey is far from complete. The aura of a champion, that rare ability to blend force and finesse, power and poise, seems alive in her game this January at Melbourne Park.